Hello. So let me start by thanking you all who have been following me so far with this tutorial. I know it's not easy, it's lots of information and many videos which need to be watched in sequence so you can get the details on how to use the tools and what to do to get mods together. In this third video I'm going to conclude the work in the tutorial to port XPS module to TMC. And basically I'll be following the sequence which I have listed in my previous post with the steps necessary to conclude this mod. Okay. So the first step will be reviewing the texture parameters in the mod. And to do that we'll be using the object tool. Okay. So once we load the mod in the tool, we can see that we have several columns here. And each column has a purpose. Okay. The first column is going to list the name of the object, and each object is related to a mesh in the model. You have this information about vertex count, so if you see any line which is 0, it means that the line has no mesh assigned to it. It's a line in which you can inject meshes if you need, or you can just delete it to clean the mod. After that you have the textures, so you will be selecting here diffuse, normal map, specular textures in a certain sequence so they can be loaded by the meshes in game. And this is the column which is going to specify how the textures are loaded. So depending on what you want the texture to show, this here will change. We don't have any object here with less than 4 textures, but there will be some mods in which this will happen. Especially if you get models from the game by using the archive tool. You see that simple objects like shoes, for example, sometimes they only have 3 textures. Okay? And then you have other columns here. This side stands for double side, so if you, some of the meshes they are basically like shells. They don't have a surface for the outside and inside. And if you want the texture to show on both sides, you got to hit this check box here. Otherwise, if you will see the texture only from one side of the shell mesh. Transp is basically transparency level, so if you have an X texture which has transparency on it, we'll start working with these parameters here. Cast means that the mesh can cast and receive shadow on it. And there are several other parameters here which will affect how the textures is seen once drawn. I'll not get into the detail because honestly I don't know in depth how to work with this by, you know, just selecting it. What I do is just to get parameters from other mods and bring to the one I want. For example, if we look at the mod we are working on Photo Studio, the meshes, the texture looks like standard fabric, but once you load in game, this will look more like silk with small shiny, if you will. Okay, so sometimes the clothing can look like silk, can look like leather, can look like made fabric, and this is basically adjusted by how the textures are loaded and these parameters here. I have another mod here, and as you can see we have the jewelry with a shiny effect. We have these metal pieces with another shiny effect. And this is all given by those parameters, how it's set up. If I open Lace 04, we can even see that some of the shiny objects, they have a combination using the transparency options. Okay? And the textures are loaded in a different sequence. If you look at this one, we will have the diffuse, then the normal map, specular, and as the fourth texture is usually one which is going to give the shiny effect. Okay? So what I recommend you to do first, if you go to Nexus Mods and select Utilities, you have all the tools which I shared. You go under Object Tool, Files, and there is a tutorial. The tutorial is basically this document here, which I got from Lover's Lab, and it explains in more detail how the object tool works and how to adjust the texture parameters. I'll be honest with you, I never took my time to read this, because the thing is that I do in a faster way by just copying parameters from one mod to the other. And I show you now how to do it. So let's say that in this one we want the metal pieces of the outfit to shine. Okay? And this is the body 4 object. So we get another mod which has shining pieces, and we'll copy the parameters for the texture. So this is the body 2.1. We'll get our mod. We want to change texture parameters for this one, for the metal pieces. So come here, get material. We'll select the other mod. So we'll be getting 2.1 parameters. We want everything. We hit OK. And at this point, if you click yes, it's going to add more parameters in addition to the ones that you already got. If you hit auto, it will use what you have in the mod and create new ones if necessary. So just hit auto here. And as you can see, the texture type changes to 0123 instead of 0012. And other things will be changing here too. At this point, we want to make sure that we will set up this exactly like in the other one. So we open another instance of the object tool, go to body 2.1, and we start to copy some of these parameters there. For example, if you look at the transparency, you have 1 and 2 here. So this has got to change. 2. Okay. Transparency. The column Z1 is the one for priority drawing textures. So meshes which have transparency, they will always have higher numbers, like 6.8. Okay. So you can see other textures beneath the transparency. If you have more than one mesh with transparency on the top of each other, this can be quite tricky to do. And if you don't set these priorities right, you might see the first mesh, not the second one beneath, only the third one. So there are some mods with a shared on Nexus which I had to work out this priority sequence very well, so in game all meshes would show beneath the transparent ones. Anyways, following up here, we have for Z2 cast and receive 1 to 1. So we'll be changing here too. 1, 2, 1. And the culling, let's copy too and paste here. The next thing you need to do is to rearrange the textures. As I said, for this kind of shiny effect, the sequence is different, so we got to change this one from dirty texture to the normal map. Texture 3 we change to the specular one, and texture 4 needs to be a new texture for shiny, which is not in the mod yet. So we'll be coming back here. Okay, it's going to be gold, it's already there, but we need this one. This is the texture we need. So let's extract texture 20, and it's going to be added to the mod. Okay, so let's save for now. You can close this one, save. We go with the texture tool. Open the mod. And we'll be adding a new texture here, the 20. Okay, there is one thing important to highlight, and I possibly mentioned this before, either in a written tutorial or in a video. Once you start to add textures in the main file, if it doesn't have any color scheme, it's no trouble. We have two cases here. The Melina 2P, it's only TMC and TMCL files. So you can add textures like this and you have no trouble on it. However, if you have a mod with different color schemes like this LaSO4, you've got to keep in mind that any change you do in the main mod files, it will have to reflect in the H and HL file, because the textures have a sequence. Okay? Right. The main file, for example, here in LaSO4 has 20 textures on it. And if you open the color scheme 001, you have here the textures for the black lace. As you can see, we have 21 slots here. This is not a problem. You can have more slots in the H file than in the TMCL. What you can't have is less. If you have 20 slots in the TMCL and 18 here, then the mod will not load. And this is work which I had to do on Newton Goose Morgan mod from Segador, which I have shared this week in Nexus. Okay, that mod had a trouble in the H files. They had less slots than the TMCL. And also it needed a little bit of organization texture sequence. Because this is another thing. Let's say you add a texture in the TMCL file on the slot 04. That's going to push all other slots one number ahead. So you've got to come to the H files and add another slot at the same position so you can keep the sequence. If you alter the sequence in the TMCL file, you got to alter the sequence in the H files. Otherwise, it's not going to load the texture properly. Okay? So back to the object tool here. Body 04, we will be changing to the new texture here. Save. And when you open in Photo Studio, now we have a shiny effect here. See? It's like copper, it's not like gold. If you want to shine like gold, what do you got to do? You got to come to a mod like this, check what texture is being used here. In this case, it's a specific texture. But I have other mods which the gold pieces use just a square texture for gold. It's not the case of this one, but you can get like a square texture with resolution 256 by 256 and add to the mod and then select to load here that texture. So that's a very general overview on how you review the textures of the mod to do the changes that you might need. If you see any object here which has a mate effect like mate fabric and you want to look like silk, what you got to do, get another mod which has the effect that you want and copy like I did here. It's the fastest way, it's the simple way. If you want to go deep into how this tool works, have a look at the tutorial, try to understand how it works, but you'll probably be spending more time and doing the same thing that I'm doing here. Okay, so that covers the texture review. I can get rid of this one now, and also this one. Okay, what's the next step? Okay, we got to do some work on the body. I didn't adjust her neck vertex when I did the initial work in Blender. I have deleted some parts of the arm mesh because I thought the sleeves were closed and they are not. They're open. It's something that I didn't pay attention. As you can see here, this part of the sleeve is opened. So it's a gap in the arm here. I've got to bring the arm back. Yeah, for the body I think it's going to be basically this. And there will be some weight transfer work and we'll be doing everything in Blender now. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, now bear with me because this could get a little bit complex here. I have imported 4 different models here in Blender so we can work and get done what we need to do. Okay. I have imported her head so you can have a look at the mask and hip position if necessary. So I'll not be using the nude body at this moment. This is the MomG mod ported to me with TMC's character conversion tool. Not going to use this one. Okay. So as you can see, this might need a little bit of work on it. Compared to the MomG model, there isn't much difference in terms of position, but it's getting on her ears here. So it's a good idea to do some working in this mesh. See if we can improve this. As my hair is a hair, we can get rid of this back part. Let's try to work the proportion a little bit. Okay, you have 2 options here. You can reduce like this, but it's going to look very odd, as you can see. So the best way to do is to bring it up front. Make sure there is no clipping. There will not. Make sure you have enough space to have no clipping. Looks well centralized. Okay, we still need to clear the ears. I think we can go a little bit more. Yeah, better. Let's bring this up. Might want to bring this together a little bit only. Oops. Not this one. This one, yes. Too much here. Let me unselect this one. Alright, I think it's okay. This will be covered by the hair, so it's not a problem. It might be a good idea to bring the hair in Blender in case like this, so you can also check how is the mask related to the hair. Something that you can do. Okay. Now for transferring weight to this mask, how it works. We'll be picking up a mesh from the original mod, which we used as a base for this new one. So all the bones there, which were present there, are present here. We can transfer weight directly without any trouble. Okay. Let's just make sure that we don't have any information in this one. The data groups. All right. So the mask is done. So we don't need this MomG converted to my anymore. Next step, we're going to be working in the body. Let me hide this. So honestly, bringing back this arm is gonna be a big trouble. So remember that I said that we should always have a backup? That's fine. Much better to bring back from the backup. Much faster. So I'm going to bring here the body mesh only. We will need to cut the legs. Hide this shoe. Where is the other body? Body B. It's here. Okay. So got cut from this point down. Okay, cut. We leave the arms because we need them. Let's hide this body, the other one. We got to connect the neck. You have two options to connect the neck here. You can either connect the neck to the head, which is present here, but believe it or not, you can also connect to the nude body. If I hide this body here, you can see that both the nude body and the neck are very well connected. So this is important for you to know because sometimes you might not have a head available. So if you don't have the head, you can connect to any other body. Just bring it in Blender and connect the dots like I showed you before using the magnet tool. Since the nude body has the fence and we like to work in a clean working area, let's work with the head, which is this one. Okay. So here we want a smooth transition, and we'll be doing a smooth transition, but let's first connect. Okay, it's connected. Now I got to pay good attention here because as you can see, the surface of the mod body and the nude body, they are not so much difference, but we have significant difference here in this neck. You can bring the nude body to have a reference. And I also advise you to put a color in it so you can have good differentiation. Okay. Now I can go back to the mod body. Let's go to wireframe and pick these two rows here. Ooh. Always remember to unselect the magnet tool. Let's Ctrl Z here. We don't want this one. Okay, the one in the bottom looks pretty close. This one we might have to rescale here. Too much. Okay, now it's good. Maybe this one needs also a rescaling. No, it doesn't. It actually okay. Next row. Let's look at this one. It's not right. Need to do the same thing. Little bit trickier. So select the row in this view, then change. Next row. This is the kind of work that you gotta have a good eye. And I think this one also needs. So try to do it as smooth as you can. Looks like we got it. Some vertex here doesn't look like very well aligned. Maybe another try at this point. Looking from the back this time. Okay. All right. Ready? No, not ready. Far from ready. Next step is to merge by distance to make the body smooth. Okay, now it's a smooth body. And it needs weight, so it can move. since we used the nude body as a reference to transfer weight to everything, that's what we'll be doing here again. All right. Okay, so body is here. And veil is here. Polygon insert tool. Always make sure that you are inserting the right place. So veil goes into the body A, main body goes into the body B. Body A, body B. We'll be deleting what is already there to replace by the new ones. And it's done here. Okay. You can make a backup of the mod or of the meshes. This is something that I haven't mentioned before, but when you hit some points at the modding, might be a good idea to make a backup of the full mod so you can go back. So get the mod here and put in the backup just in case. We don't need the face anymore. Okay, actually, let's clean the working area and start again. It's a good idea to do this from time to time. Right. So one of the things I mentioned we needed to do was to fix this, the weight transfer here in the belt. Every time you finish putting the mod together and do basically transfer weight, it's a good idea to go in game and put on watch mode and watch how the mod is working and start to take notes of things that you need to fix. This pelvis area is always a complicated one because once the character moves, the belt has a tendency to sink into the body. If this belt was a little bit higher, it wouldn't be a problem, but here it has this tendency to sink. Since we'll be doing some changes in the belt, we'll probably need to be doing changes in the metal piece here. Okay. And we can also do some changes in the leg band. So 7 and 4. As you can see, it's sinking a little bit. I think to look better like this. Okay. Now for the belt itself, it's not so much different. If you do changes like this, might be a good idea to, you know, transfer weight again. So the belt. There isn't actually much we can do in belts like this to avoid this big issue of sinking in the body. Usually it's just a question of bringing the mesh outside. You can, as you can see here, there is quite some distance from the body to the mesh here at this point, but not much at this point. And this is usually the reason why it sinks. So one of the things you can do is just to push the belt outside a little bit. This point is a little bit trickier because we'll have to do it with the belt and this sort of buckle metal piece. So it's basically a question of trying to do a transition Another thing you can do, bring this a little bit higher. As always, trying to keep it smooth. Control minus. Very handy, it's very handy. This is basically the work that I do with belts to try to get it smooth and a little bit far from the body so it doesn't sink too much. if you look at the Nausicaa lingerie mod, which I took the model from Hooky001 and reworked it, you can notice that he went in another direction. You have the garter belt here, and he worked the body mesh to make it like a bottleneck in this area, so you don't have, you know, clipping or sinking effect of the garter belt in the body. It's almost noticeable in game. You got to pay lots of attention, but it's another trick that you can do. Instead of working the mesh, you go into the body. A way to avoid this would be to get knife tool, cut the body, join the vertex from the belt with the body, so they would, you know, become more like working as one piece, and there would be no clipping because there would be no body beneath the belt. But realistically, this is lots of work for modding, you know. Okay, so we have the belt here. Let's get weight again from the nude body. And also the metal pieces will need weight as we move it then. Sometimes you don't have to actually do this. It will work, but to make sure, it's better to do. Okay, here we have Melina. We could bring this leg band a little bit closer, but you know, I'm trying to keep this under 1 hour. Let's see if I can. Let's see what we have covered so far. Review texture parameters. Okay, adjust neck vertex. Okay, bring back her arms meshes. Yes. Weight transfer for the belt. Yes. Veil mask. Yes. Back shirt. Okay. Back shirt. Okay, this is a tricky one. Okay. And let me show you something. Okay, you see this outfit here. You basically have two pieces here which work differently. From the waist down, you have this as loose fabric which, you know, flows in the air. From the waist up, the outfit moves with the body. What's the trick to make this one works? It's similar to what we have done for this, but you're doing two steps. You get the mesh for the dress, cut here at the waist, and separate into two pieces. The waist down, you'll be transferring weight like we transferred for this one. And from the waist up, you'll be transferring weight from the nude body because it has to move with the body. I think what I just told you is no news. You're going to say, hey, okay, you have showed this so far. So what's the catch? Okay, the catch is that You cannot join both of them together back in Blender. You got to join them back together by inserting both at the same slot with polygon insert tool. Okay, so for a dress like this, if you have to, you're going to transfer weight. You cut, separate into two pieces, waist up, waist down, transfer weight for the waist down, transfer weight for the waist up, and when you have the two pieces separated in Blender, export them as TMC mesh. And using polygon insert tool, insert both at the same slot, like what we'll be doing now. Okay. So the weight transfer for this one is okay. It's moving well in game, but this part here is getting separated from the belt, and we got to anchor this one. And the way to anchor is by using this piece here. This piece has weight from the body. Okay? But right now we have into separated slots. So what we do? What to do is what I just said. We get this one. And as I said, once you do something like this, at this point, make sure that you do a backup of the mod. Okay, so I have these two pieces, and they will be entering the same one. Get the mod, make a backup, and we will be inserting body 1 and 2 in the same slot. So open the mod again, body 1, override. Now we'll be adding body 2 also in body 1, and we will be keeping the mesh which is there already, and we'll be saying body 1. Okay. Since we did insert both meshes in body 1, we don't need body 2 anymore. So we'll be going with object tool, get body 2, and it has to go. Okay, so let's bring the mod again back here. As you can see, we have these all together in just one piece. You don't even have to merge because they are merged already. The meshes were merged by polygon insert tool. Okay. And since we have vertex here which is coinciding to each other, this should solve the issue. We'll try in game to make sure. But that's how I do to put together meshes which have different weight, so they can work together and don't show gaps, don't have problems. The next step, we'll be adding the fence. Okay. So how do we bring the fence here? It's with the object tool. Let's open again to make sure that we have the latest one. I'm going to get rid of this body 0, as there's no mesh there. And we'll be importing the fence from the node body. So what do we want here? As you can see, there are lots of object groups. we want the change text. Change text is responsible for showing the fan in the air when she throws. So we got to bring this one. Can bring the sweat chest. And we'll bring in all the fan object groups. Okay. Most of my mods don't have the tail, which is in her standard outfit, so we don't need to bring this one, as we'll basically be bringing bones to the mod, which will not be used. So we import. Object 2 will be importing everything, bones, meshes, textures, we'll be saving. If you do something like this in mods which have different color schemes, keep in mind that the amount of texture slots in the TMC file will be increased. So you got to increase the amount of slots H1 and H2 also. Okay. The TMCL file is with 6 meg, is still a very acceptable size. And now we have the mod with the fans. So the side would probably look better because it wouldn't be clipping through the sleeves. But if you want the side, that's what you got to do. You got to get the mesh from the other mod, replace any of these meshes, and you need to transfer weight, of course, from the fan. You can use the fan to transfer weight. The fan bones are here. Okay, this is the bone. So you just get, for example, this mesh here, and transfer weight from this mesh to the side. Okay, you inject the side here for the mouth, for the hands, and there is one here in the middle of the body which you have to add also. And then we replace the textures from the fan with the texture for the side. It's very simple. Shouldn't be any trouble to get. So as the final step, let's use the post-processing tool. We cannot miss this one. All groups in here. Done. Don't need the face anymore. Post-process tool makes a backup. Close. So what's next? Next we got to try this one in game. Let's go. So let's see how it looks in game. I have removed the game sound so it doesn't get into the way. My mic is not the best one, but okay, here we can see the mask is working well on her face. Okay. The belt is not sinking that much in the waist. See? There might be a way to avoid this stretching in the buckle, but usually it involves deleting some surfaces of the body. As long as the belt is a mesh which is solid all the way and doesn't rely on the buckle to complete itself, you can, let's say, transfer weight from the belt to this buckle, to this part of the buckle. Then we would have to separate this buckle from the other metal pieces, but it's possible. If you want to have this better, that's what I would do. I would separate this buckle from the other metal pieces and have weight transferred from the belt to the buckle, and possibly delete some of the surface of the belt, leaving just a very small square so the buckle doesn't stretch. That's what usually I do when I don't want a piece to be stretching. Okay, something which can be done. As you see here in the back, we still have some gap between this back and the body, but it doesn't look to be a problem with the meshes. We would probably have to review the weight transfer to this mesh of the top of this back skirt to see why it's getting away from the body and from the belt. Okay, maybe we would need to bring all this closer to the belt and transfer weight again. Maybe transfer weight from the belt to this mesh which closes the top of this back skirt to make sure it doesn't separate that much. As you can see, it's separating a bit. But that's it, guys. That's the general idea on how to work in a mod like this. Probably the painting can use a little bit of weight transfer improvement on it. But that's how you put a mod like this together. Okay, hope you have enjoyed. If you have questions, make the questions. I will not be doing long tutorials from now on. My time is quite short at this moment, and it will remain short for quite some time. So the plan is to just ask questions, and if I have to do videos, it will be short ones to just show people how to do stuff. Her elbow here is clipping through the sleeve. This is something which can be solved either by enlarging the sleeve mesh at this point or collapsing the elbow mesh a little bit further inside, and the clipping will not happen again. Okay, lots of things that can be done in Blender if you got the time, which at this moment I actually don't have. The knee also is the same situation. You can collapse the knee a little bit more inside or expand a little bit the boot to eliminate this clipping. So this is the work that you do to put a mod together coming from XPS to TMC, and what you can do to improve the mod to make it look better in game. Okay, hope you guys like it, and if you have any questions, just ask.